we talked about it a little bit, and I kind of just picked Brandon Bean's ears a little bit after practice, talking about.
Don't you pick his brain?
Yes.
You don't pick his ears.
I was thinking that.
You pick his brain.
Don't pick his nose.
I picked Brandon Bean's brain.
Yes. Oh my God.
What?
As Dan would say, there's the open.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, as well as share the channel. We always appreciate that so much. The Bills with a day off on Sunday. Or no, today's Sunday. Bills with a day off on Saturday.
Yep.
Back to work on Sunday. Let's start with the play of the day, Mike. Beautiful catch from Keon Coleman in the back of the end zone after a Josh Allen scramble.
It's the type of play that I think Brandon Bean described when they talked about bringing in a guy like Keon Coleman. Here's Josh Allen, pressured, rolls out to his right, pointing in the end zone. There's Keon trying to get himself open. Christian Benford is on him.
Yep.
Keon just goes up and over and pulls it in, both feet in. Everybody reacts. Look, it's one thing to do it here. He's going to need to do it when it counts.
Here, as he points onto the field.
He loves doing that.
That's the field. I point all the time.
You do. That is a
Italian.
fact. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Point. He's going to need to do it, obviously, but, man, he shows he will go up and get the football.
Acrobatic catches. He has shown that time and time again at training camp. He's had, I feel like, a strong camp. Today was probably Keon's best day. That catch was on top of it. It's the play that you need to be able to do with Josh because of his ability to extend plays. When new wide receivers come in, it's almost like if you play with a stereotypical pocket quarterback, like the play's never dead. So Josh extends the play, all of this happens. And again, Benford was all over him. And Josh just throws it up there, gives him a chance, comes down with it. It's all over the Bills' social media. We couldn't shoot the play, but I'm sure by now as you're watching this video, you have seen the clip.
It was Keon's one of his best days so far. And it's catches like that we've seen. I just really love, we talk about his ability to play above the rim and all those things, but some of the catches that he is
above the rim.
Some of the catches he has been able to make this camp, and today is another example of just the poise that he has. And I think that to me is what has stood out a lot.
Oh, these guys are working here. They're hard workers at camp, so you may hear some people in the background. I was just talking to someone, shout out to the sponsor, Greg Connors, and he said to me, he goes, everybody talks about separation for the wide receivers.
Yeah.
You think of it this way. Keon's separation is this way.
That's a great point by Greg Connors.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And it really is the
point.
case because he is big. And look, there are tall receivers, there are physical players. But going up and getting the ball with a defender right on you and making those plays when you have it is very, very important. Like, it's easy to say, because otherwise you get a tall receiver and he's taller than, it doesn't mean they can make those plays. It is a difficult thing to do, to extend and go bring the football down. And Keon has shown in one-on-one drills or in 7-on-7s, and in this case at the goal line, that I think is going to be important.
Just made myself laugh.
Why?
Would Wemby be a number one wide receiver? Can the basketball players play above the rim on the football field? The other one, too, that also stood out to me is another reason why Keon's the pass catcher of the day for us. They did a 2-minute drill, drove down the field, Keon in the slot, just great release to beat Benford on a slant. And then, just like you talked about, the pass wasn't on his number zero.
Yeah.
It was up high. So even though he was wide open, God bless you.
Thank you.
It's just the ability of Josh having so much more range with a wide receiver like Keon, who can play
above the rim.
the rim.
Yes.
Something to note.
Yes, he can. By the way, when you just said I made myself laugh, is that credit to me? Does
That
it fall under credit to me?
You know what's funny? I was listening to Sean McDermott's press conference today, and he was saying, like, credit to the coaching staff, credit to the player. And I was just thinking about Dan saying, credit to me. Very different mindset.
Yes. Shirts in the works.
In the work. Honestly, that's perfect.
Yeah, my dyslexic self.
Do you think that Benford, I felt like a couple moments, he was getting a little frustrated because I feel like Keon has been able to do, and look, you're going to win some reps, you're going to lose some reps, but I feel like Keon has done a very good job particularly when Benford is in front of him.
Benford also broke up a pass against
Yes.
Keon. So again, they went
Twice
against each other a
He
lot.
had 2 opportunities. Another one, Josh zipped the ball in a little lower. Keon got his hands on it, but Benford was right there. It popped loose. I thought that was an outstanding pass. Great defense. It was not a drop, but it was just great football all around. Yeah.
After practice, he was out in the field for 30, 35 minutes, was catching deep passes from Josh, did more goal line practice with Josh on some fade balls. But then he stayed around and probably had a 15-minute conversation with Rasul Douglas. And they were both going through that. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, Keon just had his best day of camp. Like, this is awesome. And the 21-year-old stays to talk to the veteran and pick his brain on the other side of the ball. He's worked with Mac and things like that, but that was telling to me to sit there and learn from Rasul of what do you see when I do this? And when I do this, what are you thinking as an elite level corner? So just more maturity from Keon.
I love that. And earlier today, John Wara of the Associated Press asked a great question just about the Bills and not having Stephon Diggs around anymore, and how does that? I don't want to mess up what he asked.
He asked, how do you kind of replace
Stephon
Stephon Diggs and his stats and production? And this is what Sean had to say.
You never replace Stephon Diggs. I don't even think you try to. It's a different team. It's each team is shaped a little bit differently. So this team will have to take on its own identity, and I'm not asking anybody out there to try and be Steph Diggs. They need to be themselves and develop and build our offense this year around the personnel that we have this year. So.
I was just going to say I thought that was a honest and right on the money answer. And I say that, obviously Sean knows what he thinks, but he was being honest to say this. And I think that's the way it should be. There is no Stephon Diggs out there at the moment. Guys can grow into being better players. So don't expect that. Don't ask for that. And to hear that as, I'll say, the company line, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Don't pretend you have that level player yet.
I think that's so smart to do too, because I think if you start to try and pigeonhole someone who's not that, then expectations are such a huge piece of this game, and having that much pressure on one guy in particular when maybe they're not ready for that, I mean, that could be detrimental, which that is why it appears that everyone has been able to get a piece of the pie in this offense.
I think too, you the listener had high expectations for Keon. I'm not going to sit here and say, the Bills have found their number one guy. I'm not going to go that far. But I think he's exceeded expectations to what I had. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you commenting what your expectations were. But he has looked more polished and more ready, even in the pads. Like I said, he had a couple days where he was leveled out. But again, I thought to build off this day, I thought was good. I think he's exceeded my expectations 9 days into camp.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I felt like with the Bills not adding anyone else to the draft, they must have been really comfortable and confident in him. That being said, I haven't seen anything that I'm like, oh my God, this is a glaring hole in his game, and I can't believe that they drafted him, or I have real concerns about. So I think for me, his expectation of where I landed on is about where he's at, and he has been impressive.
Yep.
And I don't want that to be a knock.
What I noticed
Good job,
was
Mike.
if I did not know all the stuff that went on after the draft and all that stuff, I just see a guy working, sort of has a serious tone to him on the field. Yeah, he's got a couple moments, a little dance, whatever it is. To your point, staying after and working. Like, this is what he should be doing. But I think there was a perception out there that it's Keon, fun.
Yeah.
I think he's enjoying the work.
Yeah.
But he's certainly, from our perspective, putting in the work, looks like he's here to do his job. And not every player balances those things of being a pro, learning how to be a pro, all those things, and then obviously showing on the field that he can play.
Yeah. You mentioned drop.
Yeah.
James Cook. We see
He was in the it was a total interruption.
It's okay. Go ahead.
By the way, I also want to bring something up. Sometimes I go back and watch the tape. I'm grading myself. And I'm trying to find, those moments when I'm interrupting. I see a lot of moments when you two interrupt me.
Yes.
Yeah. We have
But it's
to.
because we have to get in a word.
Yeah.
We got to.
Oh, so you're entitled to interrupt.
It's going back and forth. It's the reps in practice. Like, I
It's
got to
like,
get in there.
okay, old man, finish what you're saying. And you two think you're going to finish what I'm saying. And sometimes you
Whoa.
do finish what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to fight. Well, between you two both, when people are like, Jenna needs to talk more, it's like, where? How?
How, Swag?
How? How?
You don't have the answers.
Because how am I supposed to? I've
Hey,
said this
hold
before.
on.
Sometimes Dan
Dan?
talks so long that he takes the point I'm thinking of. He keeps continuing to talk till he takes what I was
All
going
right,
to
so
say.
let's just say this. Floor is yours. Go ahead.
I forgot
So
what we
James
were
Cook.
talking-
So James Cook caught a pass in
Beautiful.
7-on-7, was in the running for pass catcher of the day.
Well, tell what the play was. It was the play he's dropped in the games. He dropped in Philly, wide open. A bit of a wheel route. He's going there. He beats Williamson, I think was the defender.
Kendall Williamson.
Great catch over the top. And then,
we're going to drop an 11-on-11.
and when you say drop, the ball just skimmed off his hands. It wasn't like,
It was almost like it didn't hit his hands. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't even slow down, just went through him.
and look, but those are the frustrating plays.
Yeah.
I mean,
Would have walked into the end zone.
yeah. And, we've seen that out of him. And that is something he's not going to get 8 balls thrown to him in a game.
Nope.
But James, when you're open, you got to make that play. Again, made the tough one, let go of the easy one.
That's the frustrating thing, though. It's like you see the potential, you see what he's able to do in those really challenging moments, and then it's like the this is a gimme. That's where the struggle comes. Yeah, I mean, I think that he is their guy in terms of what he adds in the passing game and what he adds obviously as a running back. But it's plays like that where it's like that is such a huge concern for this team.
Go on.
See, I don't like when you guys do
No,
this.
you were cooking.
I was cooking. Good.
James.
I met James.
Look at that.
We have
Let
that
Jenna
shirt.
cook.
We have that shirt available on the
Yep.
Buffalo Plus YouTube or the Buffalo Plus store. Just
Yep.
go to buffaloplus.com,
Let Jenna
store.com.
BuffaloPlusStore.com. We got there.
BuffaloPlusStore.com. Yeah.
Oh, the notebook is out.
Yeah, let's talk notebook.
I got my own notebook too, but mine's more of a
Khalil
reporter
Shakir had a
notepad.
nice day too.
Khalil Shakir had another solid day.
He's
just
like Kincaid.
yes.
Yes, we don't talk about it enough because it's just always there.
I don't see drops out of them.
Nope.
The route running is outstanding. There was a breakup over the middle going for Kincaid in a 7-on-7, but that wasn't on him. It wasn't
No.
a drop. It was just good defense. I mean, look, Kincaid himself is a challenge to all the defenders.
Yeah.
They know it too.
Yeah.
They know how when a guy is just good enough, they just accept the fact this guy's really good.
Yep.
And we got to make plays on him. I think Kincaid's there. And I think Khalil is just a guy who, again, the way he runs routes, he is difficult to stay with. And I think it's a challenge for all the defenders in a very different way than obviously with Keon.
Two guys that have continued their strong camp. Zach Davidson, he was also in the running for pass catcher of the day. He had a good day, you said, on Friday at
Yeah.
the red and blue scrimmage,
He would have won on Friday, in my opinion.
as well as Tyrell Shavers.
Yeah.
Continued. He caught a pass. Both of them caught passes in 11-on-11 from Josh Allen. And again, that starts to perk up my ears to go, okay, it's not just from Mitch now. Like, now he's getting reps with the ones. So both of those guys really stood out to me. And we talked about it a little bit, and I kind of just picked Brandon Bean's ears a little bit after practice, talking about,
Don't you pick his brain?
yes,
You don't pick his ears.
I was thinking that.
You
his
pick
ear?
his brain.
Don't pick his nose.
I picked Brandon Bean's brain.
Yes. Oh my God. As Dan would say, there's the open.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Pull back in. About can you sneak players onto practice squads?
We might have lost her.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
It's like
sorry.
Olive Garden all over again.
Oh my God. That's a deep cut.
The fact of Zach Davidson has had, outside of Kincaid, I think he's been the best tight end at camp. For results on the field, I think he's been as flashy as Dawson Knox has
Flashy,
been.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were kind of talking like, can you sneak him on a practice squad? And we were like, Tyrell Shavers is another guy. And I was just kind of picking Brandon Bean's brain. That's a tongue twister. And asked him, like, are you able to sneak guys on anymore? And it's like, not really. Like with social media, like if somebody's having a good camp, like everybody knows he's having a good camp. And it's more difficult now compared to other decades where there wasn't the media attention. There wasn't social media that guys can kind of slide on the radar. So when people comment in, oh, maybe they'll try and sneak this guy in the practice squad, I don't think it's as easy as, oh, he's unnoticed. Like, they get picked.
Yeah, it's definitely a different.
It's worth taking flyers for other teams. They're saying, hey, we need a tight end. This Davidson guy's having a strong camp in Buffalo. Let's take a shot.
I mean, just going to Twitter or X and searching his name, you will see multiple tweets, I'm sure, that say, even I had a tweet on Friday just about the level of play we've seen. But it brings up an interesting point because, look, we know Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, but then 3 and 4 in terms of Quentin Morris, who actually had playing time last year for this roster, and then Zach Davidson, who was mostly practice squad. Did they keep – I think they're going to keep 3 tight ends. I don't think they would keep 4, but Quentin Morris is definitely a contributor on special teams. So now we're kind of at the point in the middle of training camp where it's like, or the preseason, I should say, where those conversations are definitely starting to occur.
They are. And look, there's a trust level they have with Quentin Morris because he's been on the roster and has made some plays for them. I think they're going to play a lot of 2 tight end sets when it's Knox and Kincaid.
Correct.
Otherwise, I think that's very limited. There wouldn't be unless you're talking about short yardage.
Yeah.
I do think that makes it interesting. There is a moment where they may say to themselves, we have a higher upside here with this player. And then that's a big decision. But you don't know. Again, it doesn't mean that they don't have an idea of sneaking a player.
Not in the building.
Not in the building, yes.
I thought because he said again.
He also said interesting. But
I tried
Did
to
he
hit
say
them all.
listen?
guys,
Get out your bingo cards.
guys.
You do.
Listen.
Yeah, you do. It's okay.
It's
okay. We all have
Again,
them.
I'm trying to hit them all.
Yeah.
I thought the defense was better today. Again, it was super hot once again. I don't think the intensity was fully ramped up. I thought the defense would have won today. And one guy that stood out that I think we're still trying to figure out where he fits in, Gable Steveson would have had a sack, had a pass breakup that Bobby Babich was all fired up about. He kind of tipped the pass at the line of scrimmage. Like, those are next level things. Getting your hands up, tracking the quarterback's arm release, all of those things that stood out to me where I know some people are saying Gable shouldn't be on the team. He's taking a roster spot, all these things. He's a project, but it's worth the investment as he's kind of coming along.
He's a guy that is going to be on the practice squad.
Yes.
I don't think you can trust a roster spot to a guy who's never played before, unless he goes in the preseason and is like this dominant force.
Nuts.
Could you imagine?
That was a nice move, just that lateral quickness that he has.
Ed Oliver-esque. Because he's a shorter guy.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So the way, like I said, when you think of Ed and Daquan playing the same, I know they play different techniques of the nose tackle, but it's like you almost see and you go, I can't believe they play the same position. Like, their builds are so different.
Yes.
What Ed does is so different than what Daquan does and things like that. Gable falls into more of that Ed physique and role, I think.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to think of him being on the active roster.
Yeah.
I completely agree, but I was expecting essentially it to be a cute story, and I feel like he has made plays at camp where you're
agree.
like, wow. Even today when we were right before the sack, right before that rep, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to watch Gable Steveson. I haven't really watched that much of him. That he literally just was like, whoop, right to the quarterback. So you see the athleticism. It's obviously there. It's just the fine-tuning, but that is someone that I was not expecting to really have any sort of impact at camp, and he's had flashes for sure.
That's going to be, when you say getting guys on to practice squads and all this kind of thing, like in his case, I think around the league, people are realizing he's a project. But it doesn't mean a team doesn't take that flyer. The difference is, do they grab him and put him on their active roster?
And also to pull a guy or to have guys in your practice squad too, it's kind of like your minor league system. Mm-hmm. You have guys that you've had in your building now this entire offseason. You know what they are. So if you're another team, you've invested time, resources, everything into this guy that you have. And so to put another guy on your active roster and then to try and slide him and fit him back into your practice squad, it's tough because you're then letting somebody go that you've invested things in.
I would also add, we have not heard what we were expecting. Best shape of his life during this camp.
From Gable?
Anybody. Has there been a best shape of his life?
No.
They complimented James Cook. More solid. Brady,
Yes.
Joe Brady's talked about it multiple
He has
times.
said like the
But I'm
strength
talking about
wise.
that actual phrase.
No, I have not heard
So
that.
the other phrase you will hear in every tweet about a release is, they've released this player,
And they plan to bring him
bring
back
on the practice squad.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think the retention of players has obviously greatly increased with the expanded practice squad. You might have thought before they'd be like, let's grab 6 players from another team.
Yeah.
To your point, Dan, that's what teams do now.
Yep.
So there'll be an occasional player that goes from team to team, but when you invest in that and you can keep them in, and it's not just practice squad like the old days. The practice squad is on any given week part of the regular roster.
Yep.
So in terms of with the tight ends, like you made that point, if one of those tight ends is on the practice squad, there's a couple of games during the year where
Absolutely.
you've got the call-ups and all. So I think it's great for the league, but I also think that it also increases the amount of players who don't get cut and said goodbye to.
Yeah.
Another guy who made a flashy play today, Von Miller.
He did.
He had the sack today.
And chase down Josh
Yeah.
on the play that Josh rolled out,
Yeah.
where again, he's not going to try and chase him down,
The
present
pump
attack.
fake from Josh.
Yeah, but it was good to see some of the agility of Von. He's never been necessarily the fastest player on the edge. I think there have been faster. It's the bend. That's what you want to see back. And again, when Dion talked about thinking that 40's back and he's got his aura again, that's what I'm also looking out for. And so the bend to get around Spencer Brown, to get to Josh, which would have been a sack, that stood out to me.
Yeah.
The difference between those things is so small, but it's massive.
Yeah.
And last year he didn't have it. He didn't have that extra, whatever that is, in Von Miller, whether it's power, speed, confidence, all those things in the knee. If he's got that back, obviously the difference between being in the backfield and making a pressure or sacking the quarterback would be monumental for this defense.
Truly.
Play.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to?
I just wanted to say he didn't mention MVS. Well done.
I was just going to
He-
get to it. Tons of first team reps.
He did.
Tons.
Did he get it? Did he?
get
Does that
Mickey?
mean he
Yeah,
got
he
a
got
lot
a
of?
catch.
Does that mean he got a lot of targets?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
No?
Yep. Also, him and Josh walking off the field, hugging each other.
Did Josh say, sorry, I
Wow.
didn't throw you the ball today?
Nope.
Did he
Sorry,
say,
I only looked your direction once.
sorry, there's not a chance you're going to lead the team in receiving yards?
Haters.
No, this has nothing to do with MVS.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's
This-
what
this has-
sucks. like
This is not MVS.
It's actually personal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not personal to MVS. It's personal to the Buffalo Plus.
DJF.
Yeah.
So it's for Daniel J. Fates.
DJ Fates.
Yes, DJ Fates.
Yeah. Not a lot. You're right. A lot of first team reps
Yeah.
for MVS,
He's running around out there.
and also not a lot of first team targets.
Caught a pass.
catches.
One.
Let's do this again tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, as well as share. We always appreciate it.
Bean, Orlovsky,
Orlovsky video is really good.
Yeah.
Buffalo Plus to the freaking moon.
Love
Yeah.
it. For Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. I almost started laughing thinking about
Did
Dan.
he pick his ear? He picked Dan Orlovsky's ear.